When we started the morning show at 7, we told you that Governor Rick Scott compares the threat from the Obama administration to pull school funding over new bathroom policies like blackmail. The directive says transgender students should use the bathroom and locker room that match their gender identity. Well, it faces its first major challenge. 11 states have filed a federal lawsuit asking a judge to declare that directive unconstitutional. Georgia joined the lawsuit, not sure whether Florida will or not. So let's talk about some of the issues that have been raised. Tony Kolick is a law professor at Florida Coastal School of Law, joins us here on the morning show. Good to have you here.
Good morning.
This ramps up the simmering battle over contentious civil rights issues. And the federal government is being accused of reinventing laws by administrative fiat. Is this as much about the discretionary power of federal agencies as it is about civil rights?
It's entirely about that, actually. This is, to me, the sequel to the Obama immigration decisions. Because, once again, the Obama administration is interpreting something within their discretion in a way that has never been done before. And it's the same Republican actors on the other side of that battle who were challenging them on it, just like they did with immigration.
Now, the lawsuit accuses the Obama administration of taking the 1964 Civil Rights Act just too far and improperly widening the scope of the law. Is this going to wind up in the Supreme Court's lap?
I think it could. I mean, I don't think President Obama will be president at that time, but obviously if we had a President Trump, maybe it wouldn't get there. But if a President Clinton or Sanders were to continue this policy, it definitely could, just like the immigration issue is.
Once you get the issue of overreach of power out of the way, are we seeing a federal civil rights law in long-term transition?
You know, here's the issue, right? It all comes down to the word sex. What does the word sex mean in the federal civil rights laws? You know, for about 40 years, most people thought sex referred to biological male and female. There were several moves in Congress to try to add gender identity in the last decade. They all failed. And so the Obama administration says, you know what, that word's a little ambiguous to us. We can interpret it to include gender identity. And once we interpret it that way, you know, the rest of the world should have to fall in line. And that's really what's being challenged here. So this has been part of a long-term move to do this. Maybe the president got a little impatient seeing it wasn't going to happen through the Congress.
If you had a crystal ball, where do you think it lands?
You know, what the president's doing here is definitely out of step with what the courts and most people thought the word sex meant in the Civil Rights Act. I mean, the president doesn't have his own power to create a law here. He's really interpreting something Congress passed. So if I was betting, I'd say probably they're going to say the president went too far on this. And actually, the Republican governors who are really bringing the suit, it's really all about process. Did the president follow the right process when he was even interpreting the rule this way? So we could see, you know, what might look like fairly boring cases, you know, talking about administrative law and processes and
something fairly pedantic as opposed to the more contentious issue.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see, in the courts at least, we're not going to see, you know, the decisions coming out in a very controversial, you know, emotional way, that's for sure.
Does the real civil rights issue get lost in the maze of the political stunt?
Perhaps, right? Because we have real issues on both sides. We have people talking about human dignity. We have others talking about safety of children. And that is going to get lost in sort of the way that this is coming out. If you read the complaint that was filed yesterday by the states, it mostly is about presidential overreach, you know, with only a little bit about those other issues in there.
Tony, appreciate your perspective. Thanks for being here.
Take care.
For an interactive map showing the status of transgender bathroom bills in the states, go to news4jax.com and look for this story under Top Stories.